Trust of 4 billion fans betrayed by a rotten corrupt system. $200 million in bribes. The FBI caught them all. This is the story of FIFA, how the world's game was stolen. May 27, 2015. Zurich, Switzerland. It's not yet 6 in the morning. A group of police officers, in plain clothes, walk through the revolving door of Bo-o-Lac, one of the most expensive hotels in Europe. They take the elevator up to arrest football world's 7 most powerful men, who were still asleep in their rooms, with no idea what's waiting outside their doors. 2 floors below, FIFA's Presidential Congress is preparing to open. An election is 2 days away. Nobody downstairs had any idea what was happening upstairs. Episode 1, The Accident. Here's the thing about the scandal that nobody talks about. The FBI didn't go looking for FIFA. They stumbled on it by accident. It fell out of a completely different ongoing investigation about the Russian mafia. And the thread that finally unraveled it? A man who hadn't filed his taxes for 10 years. December 2010. Lower Manhattan. A 28-year-old FBI agent named Jared Randall is working a Russian organized crime case. Following the money trail, he traces some of it back to football officials. A passionate football fan, he immediately recognizes what he's looking at. 6,000 miles away in Los Angeles, an IRS agent named Steve Berryman has opened a routine tax case. The target, an American named Chuck Blazer. On paper, a football administrator. General Secretary of CONCACAF. Sat on FIFA's executive committee for 17 years. Only one of 2 Americans ever given that seat. But, in reality, one of the most corrupt men the sport had ever produced. Blazer stopped filing his federal income taxes. For 10 years. On tens of millions of dollars. And the IRS noticed. 2 federal agents. 2 coasts. 2 completely separate cases, about to collide. November 2011. Randall and Berryman locate Blazer on 5th Avenue, Manhattan. He's on a motorized scooter. Morbidly obese. Diabetic. His heart is failing. They tell him, cooperate with us, or we arrest you right here. Blazer had no choice. But before we go further, you need to understand who they just flipped. Chuck Blazer lived on the 49th floor of Trump Tower, overlooking Central Park. Apartment with a rent of $18,000 a month, billed entirely to CONCACAF. He rented the apartment next door too. Not for staff. Not for storage. For his cats. $6,000 a month. For the cats. Every meal he ate was at one of the New York's finest restaurants and CONCACAF paid each one. Inside FIFA they called him Mr. 10%. Every deal FIFA signed, Blazer had already cut himself in. This man, this is who the FBI now controlled. For 2 years, Blazer walked into the most exclusive rooms in world football with what looked like a key fob on his jacket. At the 2012 London Olympics, FIFA's inner circle gathered for dinner. Blazer sat with them, laughed with them, clinked glasses, and recorded every word. In November 2013, in front of Brooklyn Federal Court, in a sealed proceeding. No cameras, no press, no public record. Chuck Blazer pleaded guilty to 10 federal counts. FIFA's leadership had no idea. Their world was already over, they just hadn't been told yet. Here's what those recordings revealed. The corruption wasn't envelopes of cash passed under tables. It was a system, built into the structure of how football's broadcast rights were sold. Every 4 years, FIFA sells the rights to broadcast the World Cup. CONCACAF sells the Copa America, the Gold Cup, every regional qualifier. Sports marketing companies bid for those rights. And to win, they paid bribes. Directly. To the officials whose votes decided the outcome. When new officials joined, they weren't recruited into the corruption. They were briefed on it. Like an orientation. This is how we do things here. This is your percentage. Vote as instructed. $200 million. 24 years. Every single payment, routed through American banks. And, that last detail gave the FBI jurisdiction over every person in the room, no matter where on earth they sat. Back to that hotel. May 27, 2015. Zurich police knock on 7 doors. One by one. Some of the men are still in their pajamas. One is halfway through breakfast. Jeffrey Webb. Eduardo Lee. Julio Rocha. Costas Tacas. Eugenio Figueiredo. Jose Maria Maron, Rafael Esquivel. They had all taken bribes. And the FBI had the receipts. 7 men arrested before they'd had breakfast. A 47-count federal indictment. The U.S. Attorney General Loretta Lynch, on camera. She used following words to describe the scandal: racketeering, money laundering, bribery, corruption that was institutionalized, systematic, and deep-rooted. And FIFA's response? Nothing. The Congress proceeded as scheduled. At the center of it all stood Sepp Blatter, FIFA president for 17 years. But Blatter was not arrested that morning. 2 days later, 133 delegates voted to re-elect him for his 5th term. 4 days after that, he resigned. 17 years. Survived everything. Couldn't survive 4 more days? 40 individuals charged, 27 guilty pleas. $200 million in bribes proven in federal court. Chuck Blazer, the man whose unpaid taxes started all of it, died in 2017. Aged 72. Never spent a single day in prison. Sepp Blatter was never charged. FIFA banned him for 8 years. He appealed. Got it down to 6. He still gives interviews. And today, in 2026, as the World Cup plays out, the same media rights machine that ran the bribery is still running. Most matches in India are behind a paywall. Doordarshan has the opener, the quarters, semis, and final. Everything in between, you pay. The Zurich arrests answered one question: who was taking the money? But they left the bigger question completely open. Who built the machine? How did one man turn the world's most popular sport into a personal ATM for decades with nobody stopping him? And how did he almost walk away clean? That's what we dig into next in episode 2. Subscribe now so you don't miss it.